to discuss. When it come to news, ain't no better than us. When it come to news, ain't no one you can trust. We got a lot to touch, so it's time to crush. We got a lot to discuss. When it come to news, ain't no better than us. When it come to news, ain't no one you can trust. We got a lot to touch, so it's time to crush. So it's time to crush.
Peace and blessings and welcome to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. And this special edition of what I'm considering Xbox Frontline News is necessary for the simple fact video games are under siege. We're being attacked from many different angles. And when I'm saying this, I'm saying this because on the physical front, we are seeing the eradication of physical media. And I'm only going to talk about it from the video game standpoint. You're seeing stores holding less and less physical copies, where you have limited run making games and making copies. You're seeing Microsoft themselves taking a step back from releasing physical, where the majority of people buy things digital. You see the rise of streaming. You see the last bastion of hope, which is Nintendo, when it comes to physical, actually doing virtual key cards, which is a digital license. We have seen the eradication of video game consoles by the slow erosion of the rising prices that we see day to day from console manufacturers based upon the scarcity. And when I'm saying scarcity, it's not that there is a lack of RAM. There's a scarcity of RAM because the players now that are taking the RAM that will normally be used for consoles are using it for bigger purposes as far as AI. The eradication of video games and the forcing of streaming upon us gamers' throats is the own nothing, consume as much as they allow us to, while giving us a license to play in their arenas. It's at a precipice now. With Netflix being the next up when it comes to hurting our position as gamers. We're going to get into this topic because this topic is something that needs to be talked about because it threatens everything. Now, stop me if you heard this story before. One company purchases another company for an absurd amount of 80-something billion. Yeah, this is not Microsoft and this is not ABK, Activision Blizzard King. This is Netflix and Warner Brothers. And under that umbrella of Warner Brothers, we have Warner Brothers Game. Now, this is coming from the game developer. And Chris Carr, senior editor of the game developer, put out an article. And just a 3-minute read, so you guys can go and check out the game developer if you want to read this article in its entirety. But me personally, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of what is the body of the article and what is being talked about the most. Now, Netflix is acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of HBO and Warner Brothers Games, in a cash and stock transaction worth $82.7 billion. It's a notable move for the entertainment industry that will make Netflix the owner of a major film and television franchises such as Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, White Lotus, The Sopranos, and a wider DC universe. Notably, the Warner Brothers Discovery spokesman has confirmed that Warner Brothers Games is included in these transactions. Now, a lot of times we think that Warner Brothers Games would be pieced off, sold off to the highest bidder. But what seems to be is Netflix will have the controlling portion, because they will own it in its entirety, of the video game sector. Now, everybody's discussing what it means for HBO and HBO Max and the Warner Brothers IPs when it comes to major studios. We will discuss that further. But when it comes to video games, Netflix doesn't have a pedigree when it comes to video games. I honestly think this is going to be a hindrance when it comes to us as gamers. Because a company with no pedigree will most likely make mistakes. But their biggest claim to fame is streaming. Without making any physical, Netflix will, by default, make nothing but streaming material, not digital downloads. This is a huge problem. Now, how I see it, and listen, this could be a nothing burger. This could be ABK 2 year. You got to wait. They can tie Warner Brothers up in litigation for so long that it lowers the value of the property. And by default, Netflix becomes the highest bidder because Paramount is actually fighting this. Now, Paramount is fighting this on the basis that they offered more money than Netflix. And they are threatening a hostile takeover so the shareholders can get what they need. You have to look at it this way. Paramount is a big movie, Hollywood. This is Hollywood versus streaming. Netflix put Blockbuster and all other physical media people out of business. You don't remember not long ago you had a lot of mom and pop VHS shops. The VHS business went under when Netflix was pushing DVDs. You don't remember that? You could get a Netflix DVD and it had pop-ups, kiosks all over the place. And then from there, they went to streaming. And then with your subscription, you had the kiosk and you were able to stream. While they got their streaming farms large enough and more robust enough that they had data centers all across the world, where now Netflix is the number one streaming app in the universe. Be honest with you, a lot of hyperbole. But right now, Netflix was the byproduct winner of the physical. To the point now, you see stores aren't really carrying these movies in a sense. Right now, to be honest with you, Netflix has been winning since COVID. With the movie industry on the back end, the back burner, the low end, if you will, of what it means to don't have the carte blanche that they had back in the day. You know, they had cachet before. Hollywood was Hollywood. With these deals that Netflix has been doing strategically and maneuvering, making sure that every household has a Netflix account. Whereas the ease of use to not leave your house, to stay home instead of going to the movie theater has become the norm. Netflix and chill is a huge thing. They become a meme. They became a staple. You kind of look funny at people that when you go to their house and they don't have Netflix, right? Because you know with Netflix, you have a curated experience to yourself. If you look at it, they start asking you what you like and they start putting movies that fit your need. That personalization is kind of Netflix bread and butter. Now, for a long time, Netflix was allowing you to share it out, have many people under your account. They kind of brought that back. Once you got addicted to the product, they brought that back. Now, you have to pay if you want Netflix. Well, if Netflix gets WB, and in all intents and purposes, they're gonna. You see, because when you see $80 billion come across the table, everybody wants a taste. I told you with the Microsoft, with the ABK deal, everybody wanted a taste. And that's what that whole thing was about. It wasn't about nothing else, but everybody wetting their beak and getting a piece of the pie. Now we have the new ABK, we have the Netflix Warner Brothers deal. And as gamers, we are locked in because games is what we care about. They have some of the biggest licensees under their umbrella. With the DC Universe, with Injustice Gods Among Us being one of them, I know that NetherRealm Studios is the makers of that franchise. And who has NetherRealm? Oh, WB, Mortal Kombat, Harry Potter. These things we're in jeopardy. Because if Netflix get them, we know we're not going to get physical copies. Streaming, some form of digital. But the scariest part here, and I know you guys are saying, well, video games is the main component, and video games and video games and video games. Yes, yes, yes. But see, Netflix isn't legitimized in the video game world. Now, WB will go a long way into legitimizing Netflix in the video game world. But Netflix's greater goal is to kill Hollywood, to do away with theaters entirely at a whole, at a greater whole, getting rid of movie theaters and the need to go out, the greater Hollywood mischief. Netflix wants to be the controllers of that. They already rule the comedy world. They have set their sights on anime with Crunchyroll squarely in their sights. See, but the bigger problem here, and I'm giving you some future thoughts. This deal goes through. They grab one of the major players when it comes to Hollywood with WB. And they start to erode everything for Hollywood. They start to really take away the movie theaters. And let's say that starts to collapse. What will legitimize them in the gaming space? Grabbing something that is number one. Dare I say it? Dare I say that Sony, if they lose the movie house and Netflix makes a position to purchase Sony, well, a byproduct of that is the PlayStation. And Transmedia plays well with Sony. Let's say they don't buy Sony outright. Let's say they do something like, hey, we do a split. You own 55%, we own 45%. But that will give them legitimacy in the gaming space. And you will have your exclusives. Could you imagine Mortal Kombat exclusive to the PlayStation? Could you imagine Hogwarts exclusive, Harry Potter exclusive to the PlayStation? The new platforming 3D adventure world of Bugs Bunny? I'm just telling you, this doesn't bode well for video games because I don't see Netflix sharing anything. They are a streaming platform that wants you to own absolutely nothing. With the rising cost of games, I don't know. All I know is this. If y'all had that energy for ABK and Microsoft, you need to have that energy for this. Because there's no scenario in this universe where Netflix purchases Microsoft and Xbox. But there's a scenario where they purchase PlayStation. Because the God of War TV show or movie, and there's a part where you pick up your controller and you play, is a huge scenario. There's a possibility. Well, this is Xbox Frontline News with your boy, The King. And I'm telling you that the next up on the menu for Netflix, after this they digest WB, is Sony, the conquering of Hollywood. is at your front door. Well, if you liked anything that you saw in this video, please hit that sub. I drop videos daily, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I go live on Saturdays. But if you like fighting games, if you like to fight, well, we have Fight Night Fridays on my sister channel, Frontline Gaming Streams. And you can go over there where you can see us get busy. Mortal Kombat, anyone? WB, please. We're there. But I got something to show you at the end of this. You see, where Xbox didn't listen and make a Banjo-Kazooie game, well, you know that platform Dreams that's on the PlayStation? They decided to listen. Yeah. If you don't do it, somebody else will. But I'm going to do what I tell you to do, what I always like to do, what I want you to do, which you should be doing, is go where game is game and winners win. And try to play the Game Pass.
Play it day one with Game Pass.